can you get fit for enduro racing and be able to lose weight at the same time? The answer is yes, you can, but there's a couple of things that you need to be mindful of because weight loss and performance are two separate things that need a couple of different strategies to make sure that they work well together. Otherwise, they can actually work against each other. So a few things to cover. So most riders, when they try and lose weight, is they cut down all of their food and they start eating a lot less food. And so that helps with the weight loss side. So they start losing weight, they start to see progress on the scales, and they keep cutting down more and more food, cutting out more and more food, making their meals smaller and smaller and smaller, eating less and less and less to keep the scales dropping and dropping and dropping. So on one side, they're reaching their goal of weight loss. But on the other side of performance, they're actually feeling worse. They've got a lot less energy. They're not recovering as well from training. Their training's not improving. It's stagnant, or even worse, it's going backwards. And so overall, the quality of life that they have is not as good. And more importantly, when they're out on the bike, they just don't feel as good on the bike, even though they're lighter. They don't have the energy there. And then you see people go the other way, where they're chasing performance and trying to perform well, and they end up putting on weight instead of staying at the same weight because they're trying to fuel themselves and put a whole heap of fuel in and put food in to fuel their riding. So for weight loss, there's one rule, one formula that has to be followed all of the time for weight loss, and that is being in a calorie deficit. So what that means is your body is burning off more energy, burning off more calories than what we're taking in through food. So we burn off calories by being alive, and then we can burn off extra calories by doing exercise, going riding, going to the gym. We bring in calories through the food that we eat. So we have to make sure that we're in a deficit, meaning we're burning off more calories than what we're bringing in. Now, let me talk about the performance side first. So when you're trying to perform at your best, there's certain macronutrients. So all foods are broken up into 3 macronutrients. We've got protein, fats, and carbs. And so all foods have just one of those macronutrients, or they have a combination of multiple macronutrients in one food. So when we are riding, our main fuel source, our main macronutrient that we're relying on is carbohydrates. That's our main fuel source. And when we're recovering from training and we're recovering from doing some weight work and we're recovering from riding, protein is our main macronutrient that we need to help us to recover, for our muscles to be able to repair so we can get fitter, faster, stronger, and be able to go and ride and race again, and hopefully prevent a little bit of soreness as well. So common mistakes that I see is people will follow the latest diets or trends. So at the moment of doing this video, I'd say probably the carnivore diet is like the in thing. Not too long ago, a few years back, it was probably more keto. Even now, maybe plant-based as well. Maybe it was probably a few years back. Carnivore seems to be the in thing at the moment, but there's been plant-based, there's been keto, there's been paleo, there's been the zone diet. There's been heaps of different ways of eating. And so what will happen is riders will adopt a particular way of eating and go, all right, I'm doing the carnivore diet. And they'll start losing weight or start seeing some level of progress. And they go, oh, this is great, carnivore diet's awesome. And, swear that that's the best thing that anyone can do to be able to lose weight. And so the reason that the carnivore diet works, or paleo works, or keto works, or plant-based works, or any of those works is the same way, and that's because you're in a calorie deficit. It's not because there's anything special about eating only meat, or eating only plants, or eating mostly fats, or eating a paleo diet. You could eat McDonald's if you wanted to every day. As long as you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to be losing weight. So that's where it becomes tricky, because if you're doing, say, the carnivore diet, which is very protein heavy, and you're trying to lose weight, that might be great. It might keep you full all the time and easy to follow, great. It's very simple. But on the performance side, it's not going to be very good because there's no carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are your main fuel source for your riding and racing. So if you're doing a 3-hour enduro and you've got no carbs and you're just trying to eat meat the whole time, you're not going to feel great on the bike. You might have achieved your goal of losing weight, but you're going to find it challenging to achieve your goal of performing better on the bike and feeling better. The other common mistake that I see is when riders are trying to lose weight is they'll try and do excessive cardio to try and burn more calories. And so they'll do hours and hours and hours, or they think they need to do hours and hours and hours of cycling or running or walking or swimming or whatever. And what usually happens is they end up running themselves into the ground. Because again, you need to be in a calorie deficit. So usually what I find is people will do more exercise and more training, and without them even knowing, their metabolism starts to increase and get faster. They burn off more calories, which is great for weight loss. But the problem is you also become hungrier. Okay, it takes a lot longer, it takes a lot more, you need to eat a lot more food to feel satisfied. And so if you don't know that, what happens is you start training, and you go, all right, cool, I eat till I feel full every meal, great. But now you keep eating until you feel full at every meal, but instead of feeling full here, you now feel full up here. So what happens is all that hard work you did during the week in the gym, or all that hard work you did with the rowing, the running, the swimming, whatever it is undone because there's extra food going in. All those extra calories you burnt off, you're putting extra calories in without even knowing it. So you work against all of the hard work that you've done, which sucks. So you have to adjust the food. There's no way around adjusting the food. Because again, you have to be in a calorie deficit, and that comes down to monitoring the food side, not just trying to train your way to weight loss. So that's like with our guys, we can get them training 3 times a week for 45 minutes and get them losing weight. And there's other people that come to us before they start the program and they're training like 6 times a week, doing an hour of cardio every day and still not losing as much weight as what our guys do, even though they're doing a lot more work. And again, just comes down to being in a deficit and knowing how to do that. The third common mistake that I see is people go off track on the weekends and they'll undo the hard work they've done during the week. So Monday to Friday, they'll stick to their way of eating or stick to eating well, and then they'll blow out on the weekends and go out and enjoy themselves or have a drink or whatever they want to do. And so what happens is they feel like they've done all of this hard work, which they have. They've done all the hard work Monday to Friday to get in that deficit, to be in a deficit of burning off more calories than what they're taking in, and they've done great. But then when it comes to the weekend, they undo that by having extra calories, by having more calories. So they create this deficit to get themselves down here, but then they eat this much up here. So what happens over the week is those two actually average out and balance each other out. And so when they go and weigh themselves, they either see very, very minimal progress or no progress at all, and their weight just stagnates, even though they feel like, hey, like I did all the meal prep and I, did the right meals during the week and I did this and that, and they did all those things, but it's just those 2 days that undid them. And it's very easy to undo in 2 days on the weekend if you're not paying attention to what you're doing. So like you could have, for example, like a Hungry Jack's. A large Hungry Jack's meal with a thick shake could be anywhere around 1,500 calories. So if your target is, say, 1,800 calories for the day, you've pretty much got a whole day's worth of calories just in the one meal. And chances are you didn't just eat that one meal for the day, because if you did, you would have lost weight. It's because you probably had breakfast, you've had lunch, you've had other drinks, soft drinks, alcohol, whatever it is, which have contributed to that, and then makes the problem worse. So keeping things on track on the weekend is important. Some strategies that I use. So I think a lot of people think that like when we work with riders, we're very strict like joining the army, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. The thing that underpins weight loss is sustainability and consistency. It's how, like if you've got say like 10 kilos to lose, and we work on losing half a kilo to a kilo a week, that's 10 to 20 weeks. That's a long time to stick with something. And then once you've got the result, you've got to keep that thing up, right? You've got to keep doing that thing to keep the result. Otherwise, if you just go back to what you were doing before, you're going to go back to where you were before. So you need to have an approach to your eating that it still allows you to go out, go to a kid's party. Like we went to a party the other week, last weekend, got a 1-year-old party. Like there's cupcakes and cakes and sausage rolls and all that sort of shit there. Like you still want to be able to enjoy your life. And if you can find a way to be in a calorie deficit, losing weight, and still enjoy your life, you're going to find it easier to stick to. If you find it easier to stick to, you'll stick with it longer. If you stick with it longer, you're going to lose a lot more weight and then find it easier to maintain that weight as well. So a couple of things that I do to get back on track with what I was saying is, like, you can do simple things to bank up calories on the weekend. You can either eat in more of a deficit during the week, which I don't necessarily recommend. So instead of eating in, say, a 500 calorie deficit during the week, you could eat in like a 600 or 700 calorie deficit. And so those extra, say, 200 calories that you've had in a deficit Monday to Friday is going to give you an extra 1,000 calories. You can then spend those 1,000 calories on the weekend on extra food and still be able to lose weight. Not the way I would recommend doing it, because it's going to be quite tough during the week to be able to be in such a deficit, and you're probably not going to feel the best. The way that I prefer to do things is on the weekends, I'll have like 1 or 2 meals instead of 3 meals. So often what'll happen is I'll wake up and I'll either have a late breakfast or an early lunch and then have dinner. And then that way I can bank those morning calories and use them at lunch or dinner time. And I do that for the Sunday as well. Sometimes I'll just have like a smaller, like if we're going out for dinner at night, I might have something small. I might have like a bacon and egg sandwich in the morning and then go and do other stuff during the day. And then we might go out for dinner and then I've banked up a whole heap of calories that I can use. Obviously, it depends on how much weight you've got to lose as well. But again, it comes back to calories. Everything is no matter what type of eating, if you do OptiFast shakes or whatever you want to try or do, everything comes back to calories. Fasting, okay, 12-hour fast, 16-hour fast, 24-hour fast, whatever. All comes back to being in that calorie deficit. The next thing is not knowing how to overcome life's challenges and still make progress. So I find for a lot of guys that are losing weight, like they're trying to look for this perfect stretch of time where like work's good and family's good and their kids' school's good and it's not Christmas time and it's not Easter and there's no birthdays coming up and it's not their anniversary and they're not going on holidays and all the rest of it. And the truth is, number one, if that the likelihood of that time coming up, that perfect conditions, is quite low. But number two is those conditions aren't going to be forever. You are going to have challenges. Like if you look at the last 12 months of your life, you can pick out a whole heap of challenges, right? We had Christmas, we had Easter, we had New Year's, we probably had Christmas parties, you probably had birthdays, probably had anniversaries, probably gone on holidays somewhere, probably maybe travelled for work, maybe changed jobs, had a whole heap of different things, maybe changed partners, maybe got a new partner, all these different things that come up. So when it comes to weight loss, it's not about finding perfect conditions because they don't exist. It's about how can I be in a calorie deficit despite the conditions that I'm in? How can I still be in a deficit even though it's Christmas time? How can I be in a deficit even though it's a birthday coming up? How can I be in a deficit even though it's Easter? It's coming up with a strategy to make sure that you can get through those periods of time. Again, with the quality of food, yes, quality of food is important, but if you can have 80% of your food, say good quality food, that's going to fill you up and allow you to hit your calories easily. And then have say 10 to 20% of like fun stuff, whether that's alcohol for you on the weekend, whether it's having a glass of Coke, whether it's having a bowl of ice cream, whether it's going out to Hungry Jack's on the weekend or having McDonald's, whatever it is, you can still do those things, but you've just got to be in a deficit. The thing that you've got to be wary of is, could you lose weight just eating McDonald's? Yes, you could. Could you lose weight just eating chocolate bars? Yes, you could, if you're in a calorie deficit. The problem is, why are people not able to lose weight eating chocolate bars? There's a couple of things. The main thing being is that, so let's say chocolate, for example. Let's say you wanted to lose weight eating chocolate. Chocolate's obviously very high in sugar. So things that are high in sugar are very palatable. Like they're very, very easy to eat and very easy to overeat. Our body absolutely loves them, okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is there's no fiber in there. So because there's no fiber in there, what happens is we've got all of these calories and all of this energy going into our body, but we actually don't feel full. It doesn't really satisfy us as much as something that has a whole heap of fiber in it. So if you were to look at the calories, say for like a lettuce, for 100 grams of lettuce and the calories for 100 grams of chocolate, they're going to be night and day difference. You're going to have like this much lettuce compared to say this much chocolate. You're not going to eat that much lettuce. And that's because there's so much fiber in there. So main thing that you need to, the main thing that we talk about with the chocolate to get things back on track again is it's not going to fill you up. And if it's not going to fill you up, you're going to starve and you're going to have hunger pains. You're not going to be able to concentrate properly. You're going to have dreams about food. And so what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to stick to it. And it's always just going to be a game of willpower every day. It's like, how long can I keep this up for? How long can I just eat these chocolate bars and not eat anything else for? And the thing is, you're not going to be able to do it. You're going to be in such a bad state that you're not going to be able to keep that up. So that's why it's important to have good quality food like fruits, meats and vegetables, because they're going to fill you up a lot for a small amount of calories, and then you can use that other 10 to 20% to enjoy yourself and actually live your life. So they're the main things, and I guess maybe some finishing points again on the mindset side is it's finding ways to make progress with losing weight. It's not about the perfect conditions. It's not about doing meal prep. It's not about like using OptiFast shakes or having the perfect carnivore diet or whatever it is. It's finding a strategy that, number one, you can adapt and switch around to be able to still enjoy your life. Okay, if doing carnivore diet doesn't allow you to go out on the weekends or doesn't allow you to be able to improve your riding, doesn't allow you to have energy all the time, or doesn't allow you to be able to do the things that you enjoy doing, have a bowl of ice cream, then it's probably not the best strategy for you. Find another strategy that allows you to still enjoy those things. Because consistency is the game, right? A lot of people look at it and go, oh, I'll just do carnivore diet for 3 months and lose a whole heap of weight. And a lot of people do that. But then at the end they go, oh shit, I'm glad that's over, but I've lost all this weight. And then they go back to what they were doing before. But what they were doing before was the reason they were overweight in the first place. So then they start putting all that weight back on. And then they just yo-yo between, oh, carnivore diet, no carnivore diet, carnivore diet, no carnivore diet. And never really make any progress. It's just back and forth, back and forth. Whereas if you have a good strategy in front of you and you're eating most of your calories with proteins, fats, carbs, with fruits, meats, vegetables, which are made up of proteins, fats, and carbs, then you're going to find that that satisfies you and fills you up a lot more, and it's a lot easier to follow. It's the game of consistency. It's like, it's not what can I do for 3 months, it's what can I do for the next 20 years. Because how long do you want to have the result for? How long, once you've lost the weight, how long do you want to keep it off for? Probably forever. So you need a strategy, or you need education, you need learning to be able to do that for the rest of your life, not just do that for a few weeks.